Hey everyone, I'm going to show you an example of how to solve a decimal equation. So let's first talk about the different places that these decimals have. So we've got the tens place, the hundreds place, tens place, hundreds place, tens place, hundreds place. Typically I don't like to work with decimal numbers. It requires me to use my calculator a lot more than I'd like to and just takes more time. So what I like to do is I like to cancel out the decimals to the best of my ability. And to cancel out any decimal, you just need to look at the farthest place to the right of the decimal, whatever place that is, place value that is, and then multiply by that. So in this case, we went tens, hundreds, tens, hundreds, tens, hundreds, and our place value was hundreds. So I need to multiply this whole equation by 100. So I'll take 100 and I'll take it times the entire equation. Now when I multiply the entire equation by 100, you'll see that I'll distribute it to each term. Now as I distribute to each term, I get 75t plus 25, but I will not distribute inside of these parentheses in here. And I'll tell you why in just a second. 100 times here, 77 times 10. So you'll notice I did not distribute in the 100 inside of the parentheses here or the parentheses here. And the reason for that is because if I would have just distributed the 0.25 without multiplying by 100, if I just distribute the 0.25 to each of these terms, I will get 25% of 10 and 25% of t. And then if you look at this line, when I distribute the 25, I'm multiplying by 25 to each of these terms because 25 is 100 times bigger than 0.25. Technically, these two terms, when I multiply them by 25, these two terms are going to be 25 times larger than what I would have had I multiplied by the 0.25. And that's the same thing over here, the 0.77 times the 10, because 77 is 100 times larger. I'm going to get a number when I multiply by 10 that is 100 times larger than what the 0.77 number would have given here. So really what I'm saying is by multiplying the front number by 100, you're really essentially multiplying the inside two terms by 100 once you distribute. After that, we can distribute, and we get 75t plus 250 minus 25t equals 770. We combine like terms, so we end up with 50t plus 250 equals 770. Subtract this to the other side and we get 50t equals 520. And divide by 50 and we get t equals 520 over 50. Now I need to reduce this. A lot of times in our homework, I noticed that students would take this, plug this in the calculator, get a decimal number, but decimal numbers are not exact numbers. A lot of times there will be repeating decimals that you have to round. So we need to start getting better at using fractions because fractions are exact answers. And so when we get this, instead of putting it into a decimal form, we need to just reduce it down to its simplest form, which would be dividing by 10 on each side. We get 52 over 5 for an answer. How do we check our answer? We take it, we can plug it back in for t, and for each t here, and check to make sure that each side is balanced.